Hey everybody, Bryan here again on a very brisk Saturday afternoon. I'm back at one of my old locations, and if I remember right, Eagle Marsh was my very first location. I started these walks and talks. I don't remember if I had mentioned this in the last episode, but my wife was involved in a car accident. So we've been down to one car for, it feels like forever. But they're finally getting it fixed. Today I was driving her around a little bit, taking care of some errands, and I happened to be in the area. I dropped her off at Starbucks. She's meeting a friend over there. So I was in the area, thought I'd come out, see what's going on. Hey, that's my sign, no dogs. How about that? There's an area over here. I had gone two different ways. First time was down that path by the stinky water filtration center. Back over here, it goes behind the golf dome through residential area by the woods. Kind of cool. I like both ways, fairly enough, but this way I haven't gone yet. As you can see, it's just a grass trail for vehicles. There's a barn back here. Do a lot of events for kids, nature-related stuff. Because these are the wetlands of northeastern Indiana. I had talked about going to Minnesota with my last video. And I gotta say, the time back here in Indiana, I'm always fond of my home, being around here. I just connect with this area. I've missed the great state of Minnesota. I really have, and so have my wife. We've already made a plan to go back, and I talked about that before. I'd like to see a Lynx game every year around my birthday. But during I'm going to come down here a little bit. Let's make sure this guy's awake. There you go. During our reminiscing, we were talking about how, hey, do you realize exactly 1 week ago right now we were in the Mall of America checking out the Nickelodeon experience, riding some rides and stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Come back to Indiana, weather is slightly better. Splitting hairs here. It's about 53 degrees right now. Up there is around, at least last week, it was around 60, 65. Our false fall has officially ended. This is most definitely fall. I can feel it in the old bones. Change of season, change of sports. The NBA started up recently, and boy, oh boy, what a beginning. You've been keeping track of the news right out the gates. Scandal, gambling. Upon hearing this, I was immediately taken back to about, 20, 21, 22 years ago, possibly, when I heard about the gambling scandal with the referees, or the officials, I should say. Just heard a little critter over here. Don't know what it was. Yeah. Anyways, I remember thinking about what had gone on in the NBA back then. And I think it was around that time when I started to lose interest in the NBA. Now, that wasn't the only reason. It's a cumulative effect. My goodness. Gotta be careful where I walk. I don't want to step on those guys. But I lost interest in the NBA for a variety of reasons. Scandals like that play a part, but they don't necessarily represent the whole of the league. However, what does is just a general fatigue, I guess. It's a long season. Goes through the time of year when I'm more likely to be watching TV. A lot of my favorite players had retired, pulled up stakes, and left to be replaced by, at least back at that time, more of a street ball sort of game. Not really a fan of that. I don't really associate street ball with professional, hence street. And then, of course, the LeBron fatigue, and I've talked about that before. But when I'm hearing about the current problems in the league, NBA, I mean, I'm just not surprised. We live in a time when sports betting is just everywhere. Prop bets on, who's gonna get the first foul, who's gonna hit the first three-point shot. Just little nickel and dime sort of bets you can make. I've never thought of that as being a good thing. I think it just entices the degenerates to throw out a little more money than they really should be. But you know how it is. As long as there's money being moved around, the industries will go on. And now you can't escape a day without hearing about DraftKings, Bet365, BetMGM, FanDuel, so forth, so on. And if that's your thing, good for you. No real problems for me, but I don't know. I like the idea of fantasy sports. I like the idea of maybe playing around a little bit with sports betting, I guess, theoretically. I don't know if I'll go for it. There's still a part of me that thinks it ruins the game. My wife plays fantasy football every season, and she's gotten to the point where she does it just out of habit, not really for the enjoyment of it. Doesn't really watch the games, goes in for it because it's part of her, work group. Those folks you kind of hang around at work and they get these things going, you take part in it because that's a social thing to do. I don't really buy into that stuff, but she has. And there was a time when she enjoyed playing those fantasy sports, but when I listen to her now talk about it, it sounds like a chore. Now, there's a big difference between fantasy sports and just straight up gambling. And I get that. And she wouldn't be caught dead gambling, but she's more than happy to just go with the flow and do the fantasy stuff. I don't know. I kind of think it's a little much. Hey, whatever floats your boat. If I seem a little slow today, it's probably a good reason for it. My sleep schedule has just been way off. Just completely unhinged at this point. Not sure what it is, if it's maybe seasonal affectation disorder or just a maybe general chemistry issue with the seasons, not so much a disorder. But kind of getting back in the swing of things after the trip. Hasn't been too bad for me. When I came back, I talked before about how I was having trouble finding good lynx gear, even in Minnesota, believe it or not. Came home to look for the two things I wanted to get. Couldn't even find them online. I don't know if it's necessarily a case of it just being sold out. I've never viewed WNBA in general is being this big cash cow where people keep feeding it money, get merchandise. Side note, I went to Goodwill after I dropped off my wife, and I saw one person in there, a little girl, wearing a Caitlin Clark t-shirt. On one hand, I was like, all right, cool, you're paying attention. On the other hand, it's Caitlin Clark. You know, whatever she does makes the news. I can't really make sense of the way the league is being run. I hear it's weird when you read the news. Go online, look up WNBA news. Stay away from YouTube. Just do a general WNBA news search. It is so split. On the one hand, you have the drama, the made-up news, stuff pertaining to, I don't know, something like Brittany Griner has to give back her Olympic medals, something like that, or so-and-so has harsh or strong words for this other player, and then you click on the link, and it's anything but. You know how it is, the misleading headline to get you to click on the article, and then it becomes something else. So tired of it. But the good ends of it are the actual news stories, such as expected, end of season, the coaching carousel begins to spin. Teams like Dallas, Seattle, they get new coaches. The Liberty, interestingly enough, they still haven't found anybody to replace Sandy Brondello. But what's odd about that is their assistant, I've forgotten her name, but apparently she was a very well-liked member of the staff for the Liberty. She was picked up by Seattle. So the Liberty assistant, who was working under a coach who had just been let go, doesn't become the coach at the Liberty, but goes across the country to be the coach of Seattle. Now, I understand that just because you're the assistant doesn't mean you immediately take over the role as head coach when there's a vacancy. I get that. But what's weird to me is that these other teams have found coaches right away. And a team like New York, who apparently, if you read the news on Sandy and her departure and the details behind that, apparently that was in the planning for a long time. It wasn't apparent to us, but apparently it was for her and the staff and management. So they must have had something going on. Who they're going to choose, I have no idea. I really don't. Speculation out there has gone so far as to name coaches like Gino Auriemma from the great University of Connecticut. I can't see him doing that. He's so baked in there. Then again, maybe it's not out of the realm of possibility. Look what Bill Belichick did, going from New England, considered the greatest coach of all time. I don't know if he really is. I think he benefited greatly from Tom Brady. Leaving, retiring, trying a little bit of broadcasting. Wasn't too bad at it. But all of a sudden, he's the head coach down in North Carolina. It took me a bit to accept that as real news, but it turns out, yeah, they're not doing so well, but guess what? In college, you got to give a guy, you got to give him at least 2 or 3 years. He's picking up the old team. Give him some time to get things turned around. Looks shaky right now. But I'm sure things will be fine in the future. So maybe we could see Oriyama come to the WNBA. Imagine that. The Liberty with him as the coach. Wow. Already good. Now the the X factor here. The problem is that we don't know who's going to stay. Virtually everybody on that team is in free agency. Sandy's gone. That obviously would hurt Brianna because they were close. I don't know what she's going to do. I think she should stay. And I think Sabrina should leave. I think Natasha should stay. And I think John Quell should leave. Misaman, I think she was named as another free agent. I don't remember how long her contract was for, because she kind of came in towards the early center of this past season. She's a fine pickup. When her name was being thrown around, coming out of, I think it was just the Euro Leagues or something, Minnesota was, I think, the number one destination for her. But because she had connections in New York, she decided to become a member of the Liberty. Ticked me off a little bit because I want strong play under the rim. And I thought Emma would do that. But after watching her in New York, it didn't quite make sense to me what her role really was. Support, sure. But it wasn't like she was dominating. I thought she was like this MVP caliber player in the Euro Leagues. You know, the more what I would call sophisticated league for global basketball. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she needs another season to percolate a little bit. But right now I'm a little on the fence with her. Where she goes, I don't know if it's going to really move the needle. So it'll be interesting to see what she does and where she goes. Chances are she'll probably just stay there. Get her feet firmly gripped. She might be taking on a bigger role if everyone else moves around like chess pieces across the league. Hearing a critter over here. That's some bird boxes. Looks like, what is that? I don't know what that is. What else is going on? Oh, there we go again. You know, the future of my little endeavor here, something I've thought about. Because I have a very, very, very small footprint. I think at the time of making this, I don't have any subscribers at the moment. And totally understood. This is raw, uncut, unedited. No flash, no bang, no flare. Just you and me. And wherever we go. Hard to compete with those who spend a lot of time scouring the news, scouring the internet for what's going on in the league and coming up with hot takes. And I can do that. I get that. I've said some weird things. But I think my vision is a little different. I want this to be personal. I don't want this to be a kind of another one of those sensationalist sort of ventures where they wait around for a hot news story and then they pounce. I like a good story as much as anybody else, but I genuinely like the league. And I used like there because I'm trying to really figure out my position. Do I truly love the WNBA? Or am I still in a honeymoon period? In the past, I've used the word love. And I do that for emphasis because I'm being positive about my view. But if I really take a step back and think hard about this, is this really a love situation? I like to think so. Because honestly, after a handful of weeks of college and professional football, I keep thinking about the WNBA. You know, I watched the Aces championship parade, and I went into it thinking, this is going to be a minor affair. There's going to be no one supporting them. It's going to be pathetic to watch, and I'm going to be left a little sour and disappointed by it. And keep in mind, and I will say this affirmatively, I don't like the Aces. I just don't. But man, I appreciate what they did. And I tell you, the news outlets missed out on a big story. A good, positive story coming from the league. And I'm not surprised. The Aces were barely hanging on to playoff-bound aspirations this season. They're closer to the gutter than they were the Stars. Minnesota slaps them around. Asia gets mad, turns the season around, goes on an undefeated streak, historic, makes it the playoffs, narrowly gets by Seattle. Don't forget that. They're like just a few points away from being kicked out of the playoffs. Get around Seattle. Just run roughshod over everybody else to win the championship. That's a good story. That is persistence. That is determination. That's saying, you know what? I don't accept this beat down. It's not going to happen again. We're going to make something better of this. And that's what they did. It's a good story. One of those rare good stories for a league that desperately needs good stories. But I watched it, their parade, and I was pleased to see the support. A lot of people out there. Not a lot lining the streets, but where the event kind of culminated, there's a great group of people there. And I believe they were actually fans. I don't think they were plants. I don't think they were paid to be there. I do believe that the Aces have a good fan base. And I think they showed up. What I did not like about the event was that it was treated like the Emmys pre-show. You know, a Hollywood pre-show event before the big arrival of the stars. Or as they're entering the area, walking down the red carpet, getting their photos taken and all that junk. That's the way this felt. The announcers were, I swear, they were taken right from the red carpet in Hollywood, placed there in Las Vegas, because that's where their enthusiasm was. It seemed so fake to me. It just didn't seem right. But if you put it on mute and you just watch, I think a fan of the league and someone who wants the league to do better, if that's you, I think you would be happy with that turnout. I know I was. Of course, it was the wrong team on the buses holding the trophies, but I took that as a win for the league, and that's what I want. I like the league. But stories like that, the Aces turning things around, winning the championship, having a good showing, honestly, it was a great showing. It was a great showing for their parade. That's what's going to push me to love the league. I don't think I've ever been back here. If you look over here, there's a little pond. More seating back there. What is this? So this is according to the sign over here. Trail 8 begin tour. Well, let's see what's back here. You see some critters. I've thought about my own interest in things lately. I'm the type that if I find something I enjoy, I will probably get into it right away. I don't waste a lot of time with it. And that's really my story of the WNBA. You know my history. For a reminder, go check out episode 1. I hated the league, and I turned it around. You know, maybe that's why I like the Aces story. They were hanging on to mediocrity, the firm grip. Minnesota slapped them in the face. They let go of the grip. They rethought things, re-aimed themselves, and then their view became championship or bust. And it turns out they got the championship. Same thing for me. I went from disliking and hating the league to being convinced it was really interesting and entertaining, thanks to Enrique Agunbawale. Good gracious. My nose is running, so I'm dabbing my nose with a little tissue I have here. But I treated finding the league over again, kind of reinventing my view, to be really refreshing. It's one of those reasons why the NBA started to turn me off. Because, wait a minute, who are these people in the league? Why am I tired of seeing LeBron over the place? Why do I not like the birth of the super team model? Why am I tired of ball hogs? Why am I tired of the drama? Well, I think everybody was. You know, the pundits will tell you that the NBA has never been better. I don't think I agree with that. Something just popped out over here. Get this real weird feeling. I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm being watched. You know that feeling where you're alone, but you don't feel alone? Kind of what's going on right now for me. I know I'm going to jump at something. Something's going to run out in front of me. I'm going to... Yeah. I know there's birds flying around. And let's be real here. The animals, they're more afraid of me than I am of them. I'm not afraid of them. It's the jump scare effect. I'm not afraid of a raccoon or a little squirrel, but jumping out at a particular point when I'm not expecting it, that's a little frightening. Yeesh. All right, let's focus. All right, anyways. Now here I go. I talk about something. I get distracted and I forget what I'm talking about. Then I change my story a bit. I start talking about something else. Where am I at here? Well, I've got two choices. That path and this one. I think this one is taking me further away. That's okay. I don't have any plans today. I got some work I need to do for my degree, but I can do that later. There's a sign. Let's see what this is. What do cattails teach us? I never really thought about that. I don't think there's ever been a day in my life when I thought about cattails. I read a story. Hopefully you remember me talking about Kelsey Mitchell. I'm pro Kelsey, but I'm not pro Kelsey on the fever. She's a free agent, and she was on Sue Bird's podcast here recently, and Sue had asked her about her future. And if you read the transcript, what the heck is this? This can't be the stream. There's a path here. What is this? What in the world is this? I've got my mud kicking shoes on right now. So I'm walking out here on this. It's hard mud. You know what? I remember this. I was over here somewhere. A few years back, I remember taking a walk way over there, way beyond where I just came from. I don't think I've ever been over there before. I remember being over here somewhere and looking over and seeing water. Man, and I know we haven't had rain in a while. It's been icky. Oh, look at that. Interesting. I'm not going to put you through it, but I bet this is kind of cool to dig around in. I'm a rock guy. I like rocks and geology and all that stuff. I have a collection of stones, fossils, crystals, natural stuff, scorpions and such, encased in lucite and plastic, stuff like that. A little nerdy for the natural stuff. So this kind of intrigues me here. To just be walking in the middle of this little waterway as it's purely dried. It's weird. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my way back over here. Well, there's the road. I saw a vehicle go by, so in the very least I can get back on the trail. Anyways, oh geez, Distractions. Kelsey Mitchell, Sue Bird. Kelsey's response to what might be in the future for her, a little vague. Talk a lot about needing to do what's important for her and her family, and not really being all that clear about her intentions. I know Stephanie White, Coach White, would love to have her back. I mean, who wouldn't want Kelsey Mitchell on their team? But there's still a part of me, this is a little separate from my assessment of her, still a part of me that thinks that she'd be better off elsewhere. I think it kind of comes down to what Caitlin does. If you're not careful, you can get swept up in the idea that Caitlin isn't returning to the WNBA. Bigger fish to fry elsewhere. I said a few episodes ago that this weird fantasy I've had of her leaving, working with someone like LeBron, maybe some foreign investors to create a league that rivals the WNBA. Seems like that could really work. If Caitlin leaves, doesn't come back, that's Kelsey's team. No doubt about it. Aaliyah Boston's great. So is Sophie. You gotta be real. This is really Kelsey's team. Caitlin is, as long as she stays upright, the two of them could do some damage. I just think after this season, with what Kelsey did for the Fever, honestly, what the entire team did to defy expectations was just incredible. And to have her take a secondary role to Caitlin just doesn't seem right. I would like Kelsey to leave to lead a different team who could use some good youthful veteranship. Because that's what Kelsey is. Kind of that young veteran. Not like a Brittany Griner who's been there for 30 years, seems like. But we'll see. But you know how it goes with these athletes. Some of them just will not give you the straight up truth. They will keep it as neutral as possible. Leave us wondering. What's that? Someone's been digging around in here. So this is Indiana. I know this is compelling video. I get it. Rather janky for broadcasting to others. I'm sure if this were streaming live, I would have 0 people sitting around watching this junk. Just continue talking to myself. And going back to an earlier thought about the coaching carousel, I like how Sandy, I never thought she was a bad coach. It's still a mystery to me what happened with her there. It seems to be semi-mutual, her departure. I don't know if the details are clear yet for everybody. Certainly she would know. But it wasn't much time after she was let go that she found a role as head coach of the Tempo. So next season, if there's a season, we'll see her with Toronto's new team. And here's a groundhog back there or something. Desolate. Now here's the problem. I came all this way, and I think I missed where I should have gotten off. There's not probably going to be a trail over here, but I'm looking at the power lines. I think I'm just going to have to choose an area here to walk through the brush and the weeds to get back up onto more civilized walking places. Oh gosh, this is terrible. I mean, these little weeds are pretty. I mean, the little tiny yellow flowers are all over the place. Oh, there's something over here. This is... Ooh, I don't know about this. In for a penny, in for a pound. Here we go. It leads up there. Hopefully this is an actual path. If you're an animal around me, I mean you no harm. I'm just coming through. Okay. This is looking a little more familiar, I think. Alright, yeah. Here we go. That wasn't too bad. Kind of cool. I've been to Eagle Marsh a good number of times. I've never been there on the actual I don't even know what you call that. The dry marsh? Is that what I could call it? Marsh. Oh, by the way, Coaching Carousel apparently did not stop for Tyler Marsh. Chicago Sky seems still interested in keeping him around. I'll ask you why, but I don't know if anyone really knows. I would have guessed he would have been the first to be let go, I should say. Not Sandy, but what do I know? I just saw the guy rush at an official with his fist cocked, seemingly ready to punch the guy out. But hey, maybe that's okay in the WNBA. Hey, Little Frog says 10 miles an hour. There's our destination over there. That's where I'm parked. I think I'm going to walk back over here and circle around a bit. Thanks for joining me out here. I never really know what's going to happen. Oh, I don't want to get that. It's going to make my phone go wild. Eagle Marsh. Little River. Not the Little River Band, even though I have been doing a little bit of reminiscing here. Hey, wipe your feet. Oh, shoot. I'm supposed to do this before going in. What if I do it afterwards? How about that? I'm breaking all the rules today. No dogs. I agree. Oh, by the way, this is not WNBA related, but I want to bring it up anyways. I get woken up all the time by dogs. Dogs in the neighborhood. Neighbors who seem to think that it's okay to let their dogs out. 11:30 at night. Go out there, pee and poop and bark. Not necessarily in that order. And then the following morning, 5 in the morning, 5:30, 5:15, around there, go out there, pee, poop, and bark. Again, not necessarily in that order. Look at this. I got my sport pants on today. Look at these burrs. Jeez. I went through war. Yeah, I'm trying to devise a plan to handle these dogs, and more specifically their owners, because if there's anything that gets people riled up, is saying anything about their precious fur babies. Now, if you love dogs, okay, that's fine. I think German Shepherd dogs are, cool. Siberian Huskies, really pretty. Shiba Inu, if you have a Shiba Inu, those are fun dogs. I actually had one. It was a rescue dog. It was a breeding dog, so it had been dragged through hell and back a number of times, so it had virtually no energy to do anything. So treat your dogs well. I just don't like them. What's this? Potholes program. Hey, there's the frogman. Frogman. Hey, frogman again. Interesting. Hey, look at this. The Little River Wetlands Project recognizes the following for their significant financial support of the purchase and restoration of Eagle Marsh. Richard Poor. Haha. A little pun for you today. He is poor. Who's that poor guy? Oh, he's giving money to the Wetlands Project. Who did? Oh, Mr. Poor? Oh, okay. Bike rack, I think. Here's Engle Road. Going back this way, this is the road to the Golf Dome. I walked by there a number of episodes ago during my second visit to Eagle Marsh. This is my third for my series here. Seems like every 6 or 7 episodes I find myself here. I don't know if I'll be coming back anytime soon, though. When the weather starts to get really cold, this whole area becomes one big glass tunnel for wind. Very cold, very bitter. I have a lot of trouble with cold weather as it is, so it's going to make making these videos a little more challenging going forward. I mean, face it, the temperature is only going to drop. And if you've lived in Indiana any amount of time, you'll notice that the weather patterns here are just wild, just chaotic. We can never predict we can't predict our winters. That's the problem. We don't know how things are going to be because we're located in such a place that it makes it very hard to guess, to predict whether we're going to have a harsh winter or a rather mild winter. Because every year we have the same people saying, oh, because of this storm raging over here and somewhere far away, it's going to cause a massive, blizzarding effect, and it's going to be terrible for us. It's going to be an awful winter, and we don't know what to do about it. Blah 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 blah. And then it's nothing. I think last year we had, what's that? It's one of those moths that looks like a leaf. It's hiding. Joke's on you, moth. No leaves around you. Spot you a mile away. We had, I think, 2 snow days from school last season. Oh, there's some actual water. I know you can't really see it from here that well. That's what water is supposed to look like in those little marsh plains. It's weird how that's got all the water and the other places have none. But, yeah, our winters can be just unpredictably bad. And it's really not the snow. We do get a lot of snowfall, but it's the bitter cold, the cold snaps we experience that can be rough for us. If you're from Minnesota, hello, and thank you for being a gracious host. You have it way worse. I fully admit that. Indiana is the crossroads of America. We are flyover zone. I am tucked in between major metropolises, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Indianapolis, right in between all of that. But my state is just kind of a speed bump on the way to other better things. But weather-wise, we're kind of stuck with whatever the prevailing winds and the seasonal changes have brought for us. The role of meteorologist, a weatherman, weather person, weather woman, might be easy in San Diego, but here, geez. Hey, it's going to be 40 when you wake up for your work day, but by noon, go ahead and throw away those jackets. It's going to be 80 degrees today, so make sure you take a little bit of time to go out there and walk and have fun with the kids, because by the time you go back home to have dinner, it's going to be 60 degrees, and overnight it's going to be 30 degrees, and that's us. But I'm going to keep doing these videos. There's a lingering issue that I haven't talked a lot about. Might come up at some point, and I think I'll leave you on this. I may have brought it up a little bit in recent episodes, but the name of my channel, I've always worried that some administrator or bureaucrat or representative of the league is going to find my channel and say, hey, wait a minute. You did not get express permission to use WNBA in the name of your channel. How dare you? You're going to have to change that. My first thought is, hey, someone out there actually enjoys their league and wants to promote it in a positive way, but still be critical of things and still question some things, but nevertheless be positive about the players and the coaches and the teams. Embrace me. Don't chase me away. I sure hope you heard that. There's a big bird. Not Big Bird, but there's a big bird up on this power pole. I'm going to get in a little closer, see if I can zoom in. Man, it's like right in front of me, but the view from the phone is awful. Gee whiz. You got to remember that. It's probably one of those red-tailed hawks. Unfortunately, I can't. Can I zoom in anymore? I don't know what happened, but I can't really zoom in. It's sitting up there making noise. I don't have my glasses on. I think it's a red-tailed hawk. Maybe a kestrel? I don't know. I really don't know my birds. Yeah, I'm terrible at. I'm out here in nature, I don't know a damn thing about it. It's got something. It's looking around right now. I don't think it notices me down here. I was hoping maybe it would take off. Ooh, it's ripping up something. Must have found a little critter. A lot of critters around here. Critter Day Saturday. How about that? Oh, what's this? Some kid's book. Little car book. How about that? Bicyclists. How are you going to handle that? All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. I found my way back to civilization. Hopefully, there'll be some more WNBA, W news. How about that? News from the W. Let's call it that. Coming up. Maybe some good news. Maybe some moving and shaking. Let's give some of these players some new teams. Looking forward to the expansion draft. That should be a lot of fun. Maybe we can do some speculating on who's going where. How do you choose? If you're an existing team, how do you choose who goes in the expansion draft? Do you just say, hey, who's my worst player? Let's put them out. Because I don't think that works. I don't think that's how it works because if you remember the NHL, when the Golden Knights, again, another dreaded Las Vegas team, came out and they had their draft, their goalie, Marc-Andre Fleury, I think he was with Pittsburgh at the time. He was doing a great job. He's a great goalie. He was part of the expansion draft. It boggled my mind. I think he was like the number one pickup overall for them, and they were immediately good. So I don't know how they handle that in WNBA. That's why there's still this, and I'll bring it up again for like the 7th time, the idea of Bridget Carleton going to Toronto. I think it could happen. And Sabrina going to Portland. I think it could happen. Look at these kids. What do you think they think? Hey kids, where are all these players going? Who's going to be on the Fire? Who's going to be on the Tempo? All right, I'm getting goofy. Time to go, get something to eat. Think about next episode. I don't know what my quote is going to be for the subject line. I've already had one dedicated to Kelsey Mitchell. Can't talk about Sandy. Already had her. Can't talk about Tyler Marsh. Already had him. I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll throw out a random name. Chloe Bibby. Chloe Bibby. We need more redheads in the league. That is an honest assessment. That is like on my wish list. WNBA wish list. More redheads, please. More Chloes. We need more Chloe Bibbies. How about that? All right. Take care.